Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. I really wanted to dig deep and share the severity of our financial situation. The dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power due to hyperinflation, pumping, impregnating the system, the economy, the markets, full of these dollars becoming so worthless that one day our dollar will be carried in trash bags like in third world countries because the purchasing power of it will be the amount of maybe a couple pennies. But anyways, I found an article from goldeagle.com. The link will be in the description if you want to check it out yourself. But anyways, let's jump into it. So this article is talking about there's an unpleasant conjunction of events beginning to undermine government finances in advanced nations. They combine the arrival of long-term trend of rising welfare commitments with an increasing certainty of global scale credit crisis, in turn the outcome of a combination of the peak of the credit cycle and increasing trade protectionism. So we already see the latter undermining the global economy, catching both governments and investors unexpectedly. So, listening to recent commentaries about the repo failures in New York leads one to suppose the insufficient money in the system. This is not the real issue, as the chart below a fiat quantity or money quantity of the dollar clearly shows. So there's a chart right here. So it shows from 1960 to 2010, the gray line is the pre-banking crisis of the FMQ path, and then this is the fiat money quantity. So it's not the quantity isn't the issue, it's the actual dollar losing the purchasing power, which is the real issue here. So the fiat money quantity is the amount of fiat, in this case the US dollars, both in circulation and held in reserve of central banks or balance sheets. Before the Lehman crisis, it grew at a fairly constant compound growth rate of 5.86%. Since the Lehman crisis, it has grown at an average of 9.45%, even after the slowdown in its rate growth started in January 2017. FMQ was still $5 trillion above where it should have been today if the massive monetary expansion in the wake of the Lehman crisis had not happened. By the way, we're $24 trillion in debt. If you go to usdebtclock.org, it will show you a live counter, and it's absolutely incredible to witness like how fast the live counter. Since I started making videos, it was around $22 trillion, and that was a couple of years ago. So it's growing at an exponentially fast rate, and there's nothing we can do about it. There's no fix to this. There's no solution. The only alternative is to invest in the precious metals as a way to preserve your wealth against the deflating dollar. Because if you're holding your money in a bank account, you're literally letting your money burn away. But anyways, it's not just the U.S. If we take similar but less detailed figures for FMQ and other major nations, adding together broad money, M3, and central bank balance sheets, we find that it has increased at varying rates for the most important economies. In China, the compound annual growth rate has been 12%. The growth of Japan at 5.2%. The Eurozone at 4.9%. Has been more subdued, reflecting stagnant levels of bank credit. And by the way, we're trying to get ourselves out of debt by replacing it with more debt. That's never going to work. You know, we're trying to literally pay off credit cards with more credit cards on a much larger scale. You can see how over time it's going to catch up and bite you in the butt. But anyways, when the lack of any other measure, statisticians, GDP, money total substitute of defining economic progress, we should not be surprised to see that the economies with the greatest rate of monetary growth are reckoned to be the best performing. Yes, but in third world countries, they weigh their money on scales. They literally weigh their money on scales because it would take too long to count out each one of their bills. And that's why you see those Zimbabwe, $1 trillion bills and all that. It's because their money is so worthless that they have to make such large amounts of it in such, high denominations for it to even be somewhat usable or feasible, because they literally burn their money carried in trash bags and weighed on scales. That's not something that's far-fetched from even richer countries like the US. It's something that definitely is at our back door, knocking, and sooner than later it's going to happen, especially since we're not even trying to fix the problem or fix any type of solution. The gold standard was our best bet when our money was actually backed by real precious metals, but nowadays we're just pumping out these dollars and backing them by nothing but a promise. But anyways, just as the GDP tells us nothing about human progress, its benefits to society, other issues of money as a control mechanism for economic management are equally misleading. Much of the monetary expansion has been to fund unproductive government spending. Most of the balance after the government has fueled speculation in the financial sector and has funded consumer credit for those whose saving have been tapped out, not revealed by any of the acceleration of the money supply growth is wealth transfer effect, which improvises every productive individual for the benefit of governments by the banking system and the bank's favored customers, who are the main large corporates and directly or indirectly the hedge funds. Now, a lot of people do use silver to hedge against inflation. That's one of the ways you can. That's one alternative. A lot of other people invest into it because the intrinsic value of the metal and how even if they don't believe in the inflating dollar, it still is a great investment because the potential and the very many uses that silver brings to the economy and how undervalued silver is compared to gold. So it's not just precious metals, but more focusedly or more specifically silver, because the gold to silver ratio is 85 to 1, but it comes out the ground roughly 8 to 1. So silver is extremely undervalued, and once that gold to silver ratio, or once silver starts to catch up to gold, that's the investment profit. That's how you can capitalize off of that investment, profiting from that margin gap closing. But anyways, decades of improvising by monetary inflation, which has quickened since Lehman, is a very serious matter and is behind the fragility of the economic systems dominated by government spending deficits. The reason that there appears not to be enough money is because the acceleration of government liabilities in nominal currency terms is catching up with them. Lawrence Kotlev's famous 2012 estimate of the U.S. government's future commitments of a net present value over 222 billion is much alive on arrival. It would be more accurate to say that the figure in the U.S. trending is towards infinity. It already has infinity in Japan and the Eurozone, where negative interest rates and bond yields offer the basis for the net present value calculation. But as in most things in financial, the public is blissfully unaware of the true implications of low and negative interest rates and ultra-low bond yields. And that's definitely true. People don't even understand, why people, or where the state of the government is, where the state of our financial system is, and they really, it's more of like an out of sight, out of mind. You're just trying to sweep it under the rug and pretend it's not happening, or pretend that everything's just going to always be okay until the recession happens, until, stuff like Y2K over the 2000s that led to so many different things. And this is something that I try to make videos on and cover because people need to be aware of this. Just piling on credit and piling on debt and not trying to do anything for your future is going to catch up to you. I mean, yes, someday everything, you might be able to file bankruptcy, or you might be able to get your debt cleared by some magical coincidence or something along those lines. But still, if you're not learning how to truly invest, or learning the value of a dollar, or separating your wants versus needs, or learning that just because you can buy something doesn't mean you can afford to buy it, if you're not doing this, then you're not preparing for your future at all. And preparation is key for any type of a success. You don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. And if you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck like I was at once, and you're learning how to invest and take control of your future to find financial stability, then this is stuff you need to educate yourself on. This is stuff you need to be aware of. And a lot of people aren't, and they don't even care. They don't even care about gold or silver. Someone actually just emailed me, and he's from Mexico, and it was a really nice email. It says he loves my videos. He's newer into the silver world, and he's from Mexico, so the Libertad is obviously their coin, and he says most people don't even know what the Libertads are, and don't even care about coins or investing. He was shocked, and I'm not surprised, but luckily he did find someone, or a bullion dealer around there, where you can get the Libertads for a little over spot price. But it's just crazy to think about, like, on a global scale, like how many people really don't care about investing, or don't care about some alternatives, and aren't even aware of the state of the dollar. If I went around and told people, with the financial situation, they would think that America's rich and we're fine. Yeah, we're rich, but are we wealthy? You can be rich, but you're definitely not wealthy. And right now, $24 trillion in debt, it seems like we're actually broke poor. We're actually less than poor. We're in debt. We're in the red. So it's just stuff that I think not many people really really think about. But as you guys watching this video, you're definitely in the right step already. Even if you haven't even invested in silver yet, as long as you're educating yourself, being aware of this stuff, you're already much better off than most people. And even if you have 1 ounce of silver, you're more wealthy than 99% of the globe, and that's on a real scale. Think about how valuable silver really is, especially as it's been over 6,000 years used as money. Think about in hundreds of years from now, or even a couple years from now, how valuable silver, precious metals in general, can be. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. If you want to keep going, though, it talks about the credit cycles now in the turn, and it keeps going on, the dawning of the monetary inflation, the general public. It's a very anticipating a crack up boom. There's a lot of stuff in this article, but it's way too long to talk about in one video. Maybe I can break it down in some other videos talking about the credit cycle and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe, but like I said, the link will be in the description if you want to check it out yourself. If you did like this video, if you do want me to break it up, make sure to smash the like button, because it allows me to tell which types of content you guys like, you guys like me covering and you guys enjoy. Also, if you did find it educational, informational, or just entertaining, make sure to smash that like button, because it does support the channel. We're about to hit 22,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough. Also, make sure to subscribe, because I do post daily videos. I posted a couple other videos a day, be in the top left and right hand corner. I know you guys are going to dig those. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoy precious metals, go check out those videos if you haven't already. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.